It's 2 o'clock. We'll call the Code Board of Tarpon Springs to order, and we'll begin by asking Bobby to call the roll, please.
Ms. Wade?
Present.
Ms. Archer? Here. Mr. Weeks?
Here.
Mrs. Telliar is absent and excused. Mr. Perfidio?
Here.
Mr. Stammes?
Here.
We'll ask everyone to please silence their cell phones, and our board attorney will give the invocation and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Father in heaven, we seek blessings on the task before us. Bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, our work with clarity and accuracy, and our decisions with impartiality. We gather to make decisions for our community. May we only use our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits and pitfalls of each matter that is placed before us, and always act with what is in accordance with the best interests of the city of Tarpon Springs and our fellow citizens. This we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Code Enforcement Board hearing procedure is as follows. It is the intention of this board to promote, protect, and improve the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Tarpon Springs by providing an equitable, effective, and inexpensive method of enforcing various codes within the city of Tarpon Springs. Any aggrieved party may appeal a final administrative order to this board to the circuit court. Such appeal shall be filed within 30 days of the execution of the order to be appealed. Florida Statute 286.0105 requires any party appealing a decision of this board to have a record of the proceedings to support such an appeal. The procedure of this board is as follows. First, the city presents its witnesses and exhibits, after which the alleged violator is able to ask the city's witnesses any specific questions regarding their testimony. Secondly, the alleged violator is allowed to make a presentation and present his or her witnesses and exhibits. Then the city can question the alleged violator's witnesses. After both rounds of testimony, both on the part of the city and on the part of the alleged violator, each party is asked to give a closing argument, first by the city and then by the alleged violator. After those 3 steps are taken, the board will close the public hearing portion of the case to discuss it and take appropriate action. Before we begin the public meetings, we'll have all potential witnesses stand up and be sworn in by the secretary of the board. So if you're going to be presenting, please stand and raise your right hand, and Bobby will swear you in.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Thank you. And once again, make sure your phones are off. Thank you. Before we start today, there has been a change in state statutes that apply to the Code Board, and Mr. Trask is going to give a brief explanation of what those are.
So as of July 1st, 2021, the code enforcement staff is no longer allowed to take anonymous complaints through their complaint system. The state statute requires the code enforcement staff to make sure that they have a name and address of each person who's making a complaint or lodging a complaint within the city. That doesn't mean that the code enforcement staff can't be proactive in what they do to find violations, but they will not be accepting anonymous complaints any longer. If it comes in, it'll be marked anonymous and it will not be further reviewed. There is one small exception to that, and that is that if it's some type of life safety issue, they may go ahead and take the complaint and research it themselves to determine whether or not immediate action needs to be taken. So I just wanted to let you know that is a big difference in the way the law used to read and the way the law requires the code enforcement staff to work at this point. So don't expecting any anonymous complaints any longer. Okay?
Thank you very much for that clarification. First item on our agenda today is item 21-800000141, 533 Hibiscus Street. Fenitza Meehan. Is anyone here for that case? Yes, sir. Do you have any objection to the city submitting their evidence? Thank you.
Okay.
Quick.
Pardon?
Did I forget a step?
No. I just want to make sure you were ready for me. Okay, my name is Beth Hughes. I'm the FACE certified inspector for the city of Tarpon Springs. This is case number 21-800000141 for 535 Hibiscus Street. The owner is Fenitza F. Meehan. Exhibit 1 contains all the photographs. Exhibit 2 contains all the notices, to include the notice of violation and the notice of hearings. Exhibit 3 are the administrative documents, to include the case summary, property appraiser, and tax collector records. Exhibit 4 is the affidavit of posting and the copy of the sign. All of the photographs and exhibits that were given to the property owner are exact copies of what is being presented to the board. All notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collector databases. All notice of violations and notice of hearings are sent return receipt requested and first-class mail. And please accept all exhibits into the record as evidence.
Bobby, will you mark those received? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we have had contact with the owner and Mr. Meehan, the owner's son. Excuse me. On March 5th of 2021, we conducted the initial inspection. When I opened a case for the adjacent lot, I did not realize that this was 2 parcels. So basically, it's 2 vacant parcels that are right next to each other. Items are being stored externally on this vacant lot. I checked with planning and zoning, and they confirmed it is not a permittable use at this time. There was a small amount of overgrowth and debris. The adjacent lot on the corner of Athens and Hibiscus was also overgrown and had debris. So on March 9th, 2021, a courtesy letter was mailed. On March 23rd of 2021, I conducted a reinspection. The property is still overgrown and still being used for outdoor storage. On March 24th of 2021, a notice of violation was mailed and the green card was returned signed. On April 12th of 2021, we did receive a phone call from Mrs. Meehan, who requested additional information on how to get into compliance. Brian the clerk, code enforcement clerk, answered the call and gave her that information. On April 21st of 2021, we received another phone call, and this was from Mr. Meehan, who's here today, the son, who was advised of the status of both cases. On May 21st of 2021, a reinspection was conducted. There was still debris. Items were still being stored on the lots, and I believe they were again instructed to contact planning and zoning to see what they needed to do to be able to store items on the lot. On May 21st, an email was sent to Mr. Meehan, letting them know that the contact information for planning and zoning. On May 26, 2021, there was a phone call that was made by our department. The clerk attempted to contact Mr. Meehan in an attempt to get an update. However, it went to voicemail. On May 27th, we conducted another reinspection. There was still debris. Items were still being stored on the lots. On June 3rd, 2021, a final notice of violation was mailed. And then on June 23rd of 2021, there was another reinspection. The items were still being stored on the property. It basically included a lot of outdoor metal decorative art, some scrap wood and metal. So on June 25th of 2021, the notice of hearing was mailed and the green card was returned unclaimed. On July 30th of 2021, the sign was posted and the affidavit of posting was signed. On August 11th, we conducted the final inspection, and there still are items on the lot that are being stored, I believe, for the business that's adjacent to it. Mr. Meehan had been told he would need to go through planning and zoning to determine if and how he can use the lot for outdoor storage. And the right-of-way is still overgrown at this time. When I was out there, I did happen to see the property, the owner of the store that is storing items on that lot, and he did state that the maintenance person had been out for a few days, and that's why it was overgrown. One thing, so basically what I wanted to request the code board members, and I'll show pictures in just a moment, is that the property be found in violation of 8-52 nuisance prohibitions and City Code 57.00 for outdoor storage. And I'll go ahead and pull up those pictures. Oh, there we go, sorry. Okay. All right, so this is just a picture of the lot. You can see that there's just items being stored on the property. I know it's kind of hard to tell from this angle, but if you can see my mouse, right along here is the, I believe are a bunch of the metal items that are being stored for the business. Just showing more of the debris along the side of the fence. And then this is the current condition as of the 11th, where it's still showing that it's overgrown along the right-of-way. Some in the vacant lot itself, but mostly in the right-of-way, and there still is some trash and debris along the right-of-way as well. So I did speak with planning and zoning just to find out about the their capability of being able to have the outdoor storage, and basically what they would need to do is apply to get it rezoned to allow it. Right now it's zoned, I believe, residential. So for it to be able to use in the capacity that they're currently using it, they would have to get it rezoned. So I did ask what was a good judgment amount of time if they went through the whole process and it were to get approved. And she said that realistically it could take up to 6 months. So I just wanted to let you know that. So if they, depending on how it goes, I would like the overgrowth to be, again, found in violation and to not have that long of a deadline. But I did want to give you that information. And that concludes the city's testimony.
Does the board have any questions for city staff?
Is this the first time they've come before the board? Beth?
I'm looking, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
For this property, yes. And for this reason, yes.
Okay.
And our goal is always to promote compliance. We're not trying to be punitive, but when there are two lots, how do we do that so we're not citing them twice for kind of the same issue?
The city has the option to bring the case however they wanted to bring it, and I think that the way they're bringing it now was for the purposes of making sure that if the fine goes away with one property, it sticks on the other one. So they have that option to do that, but they're bringing it the way that I frankly think that it should be brought. So I understand it takes additional time, and you could hear the testimony all at once if there's no objection to the property owner, but you would have to make two separate motions. Yeah.
Thank you for
Okay.
clarifying that. Anybody else have a question? Do you have, this will be where you just ask questions and then you get to present your case a little bit later. Do you have just a straight up question for her?
You can come up to the stand, yes, sir.
All righty. If you don't have any questions, your turn, you get to present your side.
No, but I would like to request that we handle both at the same time since they're adjacent properties, if that is all right.
I think we're trying to ensure that the stuff doesn't get moved from one lot to the other.
No questions, and I
That's why
have no
we have to-
objections to handling them together.
If I'm hearing correctly.
So
Thank you.
you
Do you
can-
have a case to present?
Yes, and more of an update on the status of zoning and things like that.
Go ahead. Your nickel.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is George Meehan. I'm Fanitza Meehan's son. I was not sure, I've given copies to the Pinellas County property appraiser and tax collector, but I brought copies of my durable power of attorney and the living trust for my mother, Fanitza Meehan, to allow me to speak on her behalf. So if I needed to
I
leave a
appreciate that.
copy for you all, I've got those. So with the lots, the initial lease agreement was between my mother and our current tenant, Mr. Stearns. Shortly thereafter, my mother had some very serious health issues and was in and out of the hospital for about 9 months, which is when I had to step in and take over her business affairs, and we moved everything into the property trust and things like that. The reason why one of the lots is in the trust and the other is not is because one of the lots is divided, but she owns one half of the lot and her cousin owns the other half. And there was some sort of mix-up at the property appraiser's office. So through this process, I've learned about that and contacted my attorney to resubmit the paperwork to move that other lot into the trust as it initially was supposed to be. So that's why one lot is owned by my mother and the other one's owned by her trust. So just a little clarification there. For the overgrowth, that is our tenant's responsibility to keep that up to code and maintained, and if it's not, that is on him to, I believe in our lease, pay any fines and penalties. And also, I did speak with him yesterday about it. He informed me his maintenance people had been, in and out of health, and that if they weren't able to do it over the weekend, he would mow it himself on Monday. So I did inform him that he needed to stay in compliance with you all. So I want to get that cleared away as soon as possible as well. With the zoning, the original intent of the lease of that property, the tenant sells outdoor lawn and garden decorations, chairs, little metal sculptures, that sort of thing. So I guess the intent of it was to be an outdoor sort of retail showroom to his adjacent indoor retail space that, his customers could, basically we took one part of the fence down and he put a doorway in there. The rest of the property is fenced off. So he asked if he could lease those adjacent vacant lots so that his customers could walk around and see the merchandise outside, because that's what it's designed for. So when I had spoken to the planning and zoning, they said it was, I guess, zoned for residential, or I think they said mixed retail, or I'm not sure of the exact term. But I guess the hang up is, I guess by the definition, retail has to be within the confines of a building. So there is no code for outdoor retail, even though the merchandise is designed to be outdoor. I did look at the pictures, and some of them were, grouped together, not exactly a showroom like I was assuming it was, where it was more for customers to walk around like you would at Lowe's or Home Depot and the adjacent, the nursery or garden center, that sort of setup. So I've spoken to the planning and zoning. Thank you for the timetable on that, because I didn't know how long that took. And I'm supposed to be having a meeting with them in the next couple weeks to discuss, what it would cost to either rezone it, or if there is any, not exception, but if there's a way that the retail category can be applied to this, that it's not commercial storage like a shipping container or industrial equipment. It's designed to be, small retail items. But I know the kind of the gray area here is that retail, I guess by the code, is designed to be inside of the confines of a building. So that's what our meeting is going to be about. I guess as I said, the overgrowth, I want that, cleared as soon as possible and brought into compliance. And as in regard to the zoning and coding or whatnot, if the board could hopefully give me some sort of extension or timetable to work with planning and zoning and see if that's doable to either bring that into compliance or go through the zoning process, it'd be greatly appreciated. If it absolutely is not an option, then my agreement with the tenant is currently month to month. I would just ask for enough time to give him adequate time to clear his merchandise off the parcels, and we'll just return it to being a vacant grass property.
Does the board have any questions for him? It's George, correct?
Yes.
George, do you live here in town?
No, I live in Wesley Chapel.
No.
No, I'd just like to have a clarification, actually, just to ensure, and just if Mr. Trask can ensure I'm on point here, is that, okay, you're the property owner, so any type of fines with regards to grass and violations like that, that is upon you, and then you'd have to recoup that from your tenant. I just want to make sure, because...
Yeah, that's fine,
okay,
I'm
that's a
sorry.
ding on you, okay, just so we're on the same page.
Yes, sir.
Got it, okay, great.
And I do have some concerns. He's obviously thinking he can put it out for retail, but that's not exactly an attractive retail space that the city's going to be encouraging too much.
a residential area,
And you've
isn't
had 5
it?
months so far to work on some of this. Go ahead.
Isn't it a residential area?
Yes, it's zone
But
residential.
he's not supposed to be running a business out of there,
Well-
right?
Well, the business isn't being stored out of, or excuse me, the items are stored on the lot that are for the business.
Okay, but he had mentioned about them coming in and looking around like this.
I've never seen that. I'd have to,
The adjacent property is on North Pinellas, and those are all commercial. These are the, I guess, back lots, not on alternate 19, but on Hibiscus.
Okay.
So the adjacent properties have been commercial or retail. My mother actually operated 2 retail stores on the adjacent
about this
properties for
property.
about 20 years.
Yeah, we remember. Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, stupid one probably. Why does it take 6 months for planning and zoning to, what do they have to do? That's new to
So
me,
many steps.
it's a lot of steps. There's a lot of things that have to happen, and then other boards that it has to go through to get approval. And, it depends on when the boards are scheduled, and then you have to get it on the agenda in time. And they said realistically, it could take up to 6 months.
And I think
Okay.
variances are every quarter, I think they're presented, right?
And this isn't a variance, this is actually changing the zoning.
Yep, that's even more steps. Excuse me, I shouldn't say worse or better, just is.
And I'm sorry, I wanted to also mention, I had updated my contact information with the tax collector's office and was unaware that did not flow to the property appraiser's office. So the notices were going to my mother and not coming to me, so I wasn't aware of it right away until the code enforcement reached out to me and made me aware of everything that was going on. So that has all been corrected now, and I'm receiving the notices and the communications.
Do you have any questions for him?
Actually, the only comment I had was what Mr. Perfidio already brought up, in that, you as the owner are ultimately responsible regardless of what your lease says. So any fines or liens that, if they were to accumulate, would go against the property owner.
Yeah, I understand, that's fine. I just, saying it's his responsibility under the terms of our lease to keep the property up.
Sure.
Would you like to summarize?
Basically, I think it's all pretty straightforward as far as there's overgrowth. There's some trash and debris, especially in the right-of-way, that will need to continually be maintained if it's by your, if you make your tenant have that completed. So I would actually like to request too, I know we don't do this very often, but we do it sometimes, is if the board does choose to allow the longer process for the changing of the zoned area, I would request 2 different deadlines, one for the overgrowth to be much sooner, and then obviously the more lengthy one for the other violation of the outdoor storage, if you even choose to do it that way. And that's all.
Would you like to summarize?
I'll make sure the tenant gets the overgrowth taken care of within, well, for Thursday, but by the end of next week. And again, just requesting enough time to work with planning and zoning and see how we can get that into compliance, or if there's not a way to do that, you know, allow Mr. Stearns adequate time to clear the lot off and, you know, return it to vacant.
Thank you. The board will entertain a motion, and then we may have a little discussion after that. Do I hear a motion?
Sure. I move that based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented, and law, that at the time of the alleged violation, Section 8-52 and Section 57.00 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Tarpon Springs was in force and effect, and the respondent was in violation thereof.
Second.
Then we'll follow, we'll have a roll call, please, Bobby?
Mr. Stamus?
Yes.
Mr. Perfidio?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes.
Motion
Fol-
carries.
Following that is the penalty phase, if someone would like to make a motion and if we need to have discussion.
So it really breaks down into 3 sections, right? So the first one being the overgrown grass, I would recommend that we just keep that, like Beth recommended, keep that sort of like on a short 2 weeks. Should be no problem getting that cleaned up. The second issue about the rezoning, so from what I hear is that it's not even confirmed that the tenant would be. So what I don't want to do is say 6 months, and then it turns out that the tenant doesn't want to, and then this drags out for longer than it needs to be, right? So I'm trying to think of a way that maybe we can rehear this to get an update at a shorter period. And if it turns out that you want to rezone, then we can talk about a longer period of time. Does that make any sense to anybody?
Except that it's in violation currently.
Right.
All that stuff's got to get out of there first, it's my feeling. So if somebody would like to make a motion, that would be what's appropriate next.
How do we make the motion for two separate times, two separate lengths?
You talking about one for the
Make one
nuisance
motion and then
for the
another?
rezoning?
Right.
Okay, yeah. it's-
All right, so I move that the respondent shall have until, that would be 2 weeks, August 26th. Yeah, until August 26th, 2021, to bring the property into compliance with Code Section 8-52, or suffer a fine of $25 per day for each day thereafter the respondent remains in violation of said code sections.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Stamus?
Yes.
Mr. Perfidio?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Do I hear a second motion?
I move that the respondent shall have until 11 February 2022, which gives you the 6 months that was recommended, to bring the property in compliance with Code Section 57.00, or suffer a fine of $25 per day for each day thereafter the respondent remains in violation of said code section.
Second.
Before we vote, you don't feel like he should clear that stuff out of there right away? And then if he gets zoning, then he can put it back?
I think the problem that you're gonna have is, I know it's not our problem, but where do you put it?
He has
mean,
that
do we-
building next to it that he also leases?
Oh, that's fine, then I'll amend that then.
I just think that's a long time to have all that excuse me, stuff piled out there. Anybody else have feedback?
I'm sorry, am I allowed to interject anything?
I'm sorry, they don't let you talk now for a little bit. Anybody else have a feeling on it? Okay, he's made a motion for 11-1. Did I hear a second on that?
No, it's 11 February.
Okay,
What was it?
February 1?
February
11
11th.
February, which would be 6 months.
Okay, 11 February. Bobby, roll call, please, this is for the motion to give them until February 11th of 2022. Roll call, please.
Stamus?
Yes.
Mr. Perfidio?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Aye.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
No.
Your motion carries, miss.
They'll summarize for you.
Would you like me to summarize it?
Please.
So in this first case, Mr. Meehan, the Code Enforcement Board has found the property owner in violation of Section 8-52 and given the property owner until August 26th of this year to bring it into compliance. If it's not brought into compliance, a $25 a day fine will be established. In addition, the Code Enforcement Board has also found the property owner in violation of 57.00 and given the property owner until February 11th of next year, 2022, to come into compliance or suffer a $25 a day fine. There will be an order entered. It'll be entered within about the next 10 days and provided to you at the address that you have listed at the property appraiser's records and the tax collector's records. If you have questions about what you need to do to bring the property into compliance, you can contact code enforcement after this meeting. I understand that you have another case here coming up next. It's going to be the same basic process that the Code Enforcement Board is going to go through. So hang on until they just get to the next case.
Can I ask for clarification on the second piece?
Sure?
So does the tenant need to remove the items now, or is it okay to leave them while we are working with zoning? Because I know there was a vote
The Code
on that.
Enforcement Board is given until February 11th to bring it into compliance. So in theory, the materials can stay there until February 11th.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And this next case is going to be identical. Is there any objection to skipping all the presentation and getting to the motion phase?
It's not quite identical, it's very close.
Okay,
And I don't know if,
then let's go through it, make sure we don't skip anything and do something wrong. So
okay, I'll try to make it brief, though.
the city will present their side of the case.
Okay, so my name is Beth Hughes. I'm the FACE Certified Inspector for the City of Tarpon Springs. This is case number 21-800-00135 for 541 Hibiscus Street. The property owner is Fanitza Meehan. Exhibit 1 includes all the photographs. Exhibit 2, all the notices, to include the notice of violation and notice of hearing. Exhibit 3, the administration documents, to include the case summary, property appraiser, and tax collector records. Exhibit 4, the affidavit of posting and the copy of the sign. All the photographs and exhibits that were given to the property owner are exact copies of what is being presented to the board. All notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collector databases. All notice of violation and notice of hearings are sent return receipt requested and first-class mail. Please accept all the exhibits into the record as evidence.
Do you have any objection to the evidence being presented?
No, ma'am.
No. Bobby, will you accept it into the record, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, again, we've had contact with the owner. I won't go over that again. March 4th, 2021 was the initial inspection, and basically the property was overgrown. There was trash and debris in the right-of-way and on the lot. I did put that it appeared to be for outdoor storage, but later, as I had testified previously, I realized it was two different lots. And really, this lot wasn't being used for outdoor storage, but it did have vegetative debris and other different types of debris like wood. On March 9th, 2021, the courtesy letter was mailed. On March 23rd of 2021, there was a reinspection. The property was still overgrown, and there was still debris on the property. On March 25th of 2021, the notice of violation was mailed, and the green card was returned, attempted not known. Again, on April 12th, we received a phone call from Mrs. Meehan over both parcels. On April 21st, we were contacted by Mr. Meehan by phone. On May 21st, there was a reinspection. There was still debris on the lot. On May 21st of 2021, again, we sent the email to the property owner. On May 26th, there was another phone call with Mr. Meehan, or attempted to Mr. Meehan, that went to voicemail. On May 27th, we conducted a reinspection. The property had been cut at that time. The only remaining issue was the vegetative debris and wood lumber pile of debris. On June 3rd of 2021, a final notice of violation was mailed and the green card was returned attempted not known. On June 23rd of 2021, there was a reinspection. The property still contained piles of vegetative debris and discarded wood. On June 25th of 2021, the notice of hearing was mailed and the green card was returned unclaimed. On July 30th of 2021, the sign was posted and an affidavit of posting was signed. I did the final inspection August 11th, and the property is now overgrown again, and it does still contain some vegetative and trash debris and a some discarded wood. But as far as I did remove the outdoor storage on this property. I'm only requesting that the code board members find them in violation of 8-52, as long as nothing gets moved over. Because this mainly was just vegetative debris and overgrowth at this point.
So you're removing 57.00?
Yes, ma'am, because after I realized that this was two different parcels, all the actual storage from the store is on the other lot. I probably is not necessary to go through the pictures. I think Mr. Meehan would agree there's overgrowth and
No
some
objection.
debris. And that concludes my testimony.
Does the board have any questions for city staff, or do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Is this a bigger lot, Beth, than the other one?
I believe they're actually about the same size.
Okay. It's bigger.
It's the one on the corner, though, so it might appear larger because of the right-of-way.
Okay.
No one else has questions of her? You get to have your turn.
Same testimony as before, I guess.
Summarize.
No, I'd just like them to be found in violation of the overgrowth and debris and to have that complied in a reasonable time.
I'm heading there right after I leave here to go talk to him and make sure he gets in compliance.
The public portion of the case is now closed. Do I hear a motion from the board or any discussion?
I move, based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented and law, that at the time of the alleged violation, Section 8-52 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Tarpon Springs was in force and effect, the respondent was in violation thereof.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Stammes?
Yes.
Mr. Porfidio?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Aye.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes.
Your motion carries.
Do I hear a second motion?
I move that the respondent shall have until August 26, 2021 to bring the property into compliance with Code Sections 8-52 or suffer a fine of $25 per day for each day thereafter the respondents remain in violation of said code sections.
Second. Okay.
Roll call, please.
I'm sorry, I heard two there, I'm sorry.
Who made the second?
Who made the second?
Mr. Perfidio?
Oh, thank you. Mr. Stammes?
Yes.
Mr. Porfidio?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Aye.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes. And now we've got two possible fines going. Would you like to summarize or for him, please?
So, Mr. Mann, this is just like the other case. This will be a separate order, distinct from the previous order because it is a separate lot. The order of the board is that the property is in violation of 8-52, and it needs to be brought into compliance by August 26th. If it's not brought into compliance, it will be a $25 a day fine. If you don't understand what you need to do to bring this property into compliance, you can also talk to code enforcement after the meeting.
Understood, thank you.
All right, thank you.
We appreciate your coming, and we more appreciate you taking care of it.
Oh, no problem, thank you for your time
Thank you.
today.
Thanks, Mr. Meehan.
The next case is case number 321-800000249, 900 North Pinellas Avenue, the Ziering Family Trust. And the board received, just before this meeting, some additional information. Does that need to be read into the minutes, or is our,
It does not need to be read into the record. You can make it an exhibit for the record, but I think that we can all read, so I don't think you need to read it out loud.
we just want to make sure.
Okay.
And to put it in the record, that's my job or Beth's job?
It would be your job to, yeah, the city has provided it, and then if the city has no objection to it being received in the record,
Does the city have objection to this last minute?
I do not. It includes our response to his original email, too.
Then I'm going to say, yes, let's accept it as evidence, please.
okay.
So no one is here for the case, the city will present their side.
Okay, so this is case 21-800000249 for 900 North Pinellas, Ziering Family Trust, William Henry Ziering trustee. Exhibit 1 contains all the photographs. Exhibit 2 contains all the notices to include the notice of violation and notice of hearings. Exhibit 3 contains the administrative documents to include the case summary, property appraiser, and tax collector records. Exhibit 4 contains the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. All of the photographs and exhibits that were given to the property owner are exact copies of what is being presented to the board. All notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the property, county, property appraiser, and tax collector databases. All notice of violation and notice of hearings are sent return receipt requested in first-class mail. And Madam Chair, please accept all exhibits into the record as evidence.
Thank you, Bobby. Will you please enter those?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We did have contact with the owner, or the owner's representative, I should say. I believe by his email, it was his daughter, by both phone and email. So on April 21st of 2021, I conducted an inspection, the initial inspection. The property was overgrown. There was debris on the property. The dumpster enclosure was in disrepair. The fence was in disrepair. The exterior of the building was deteriorating, and the sidewalks have sand and vegetation on them. On April 22nd of 2021, the notice of violation was mailed, and the green card was returned signed. On April 29th of 2021, we did receive a phone call. She requested to see the pictures of the violations as she was out of state. An email was sent, and she did call back to request an extension request, which she was granted. On April 29th of 2021, an email was sent with the photographs per the owner's request. On June 1st of 2021, I conducted a reinspection. While completing the reinspection, I noticed some electrical issues and forwarded the pictures to the building official. He confirmed electrical work was needed and the extension cords should all be removed. The fence and exterior still needed repair. There were dead trees that needed to be removed and no permit, and I verified for them that no permit was needed by the arborist to remove the dead trees. The concrete parking barriers were all dislodged as well. On June 1st, an email was sent to the property owner, which we also emailed the amended notice of violation, including the electrical issues. The property owner advised that they did hire a contractor to fix the exterior siding and fencing. On June 14th of 2021, the amended notice of violation that was emailed was also sent, both first class and certified mail. The green card was returned, not signed. On June 14th, and another email was sent. sending the amended notice of violation, and I apologize, I think I already said that. On June 30th, reinspection was conducted. The building had deteriorated further. The electrical issues, dumpster corral was not repaired, fence was not repaired, no permits were in the system, and it was overgrown again. So on July 1st of 2021, the notice of hearing was mailed, and the green card was returned signed. On July 30th of 2021, we posted the sign, and an affidavit of posting was signed. On August 11th of 2021, a final inspection was conducted. The property is now more overgrown. The wires and extension cords are still all over the exterior and have not been removed. The fence has become more dilapidated. The exterior continues to deteriorate. The dumpster enclosure has not been repaired, and there are no permit applications in the system. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you the pictures. Okay, so I don't think you can see. Okay, so there you can see what I was like, what am I trying to show on this photograph? So there's all the boards at the bottom that are just basically falling off. The next one, you can see where all in a large part of the building, the siding is starting to deteriorate. A lot of pieces of boards are starting to fall off. Here's more example of the exterior deteriorating. More examples. There's the open panel. Again, just more of the exterior pictures and some of the extension cords you can see that are strewn throughout the property. There's a picture of one of the dead palm trees that needs to be removed. Another palm that needs to be removed. There's the dumpster enclosure that needs repair. Here's a picture of some of the overgrowth. It actually is more, they did cut it once, but it's become overgrown again. Just different piles of debris on the property. This one is actually clear. There's nothing in that enclosure at this time. And this is where you can see around the property, I don't know if you can see above the fence how it's becoming very deteriorated. The boards are all rotting. Where'd my mouse go?
Beth, is there electricity going to this building?
You know, that's a good question. I meant to check that today.
It's concerning if that meter's moving.
See if we can find out from utility real quick. Okay, so this is the sidewalk that's still overgrown. Brian will see if he can find an answer to that. Here's starting to show pictures of the fence falling apart. More where you can see the fence is falling toward the sidewalk and the debris on the sidewalk. Again, just missing pickets on the fence. This is where I need to turn the pictures. Okay, so this is just one of the lamps on the exterior, but you can see where just the wires are exposed, the lamp's missing. The dead palm tree, another dead palm. And again, they just have, and again, and hopefully we'll find out in a second, I did mean to check that today, I apologize that I didn't. They just have extension cords everywhere throughout the property. This is just more where the building's starting to fall apart. They've got the covers open to the electrical outlets. And that's all my pictures. So just to address briefly the email that we did receive, we did have contact with them pretty early on. The gentleman that sent this email apparently may not have been privy to the fact that we had been in contact with them. No permits have been requested. There really haven't been any repairs at all. There was some, like I said, some of the overgrowth was cut early on in the case, and really, other than that, nothing has been repaired and nothing has really changed. We were asked for one extension request. It was granted, and really until today, we haven't had any other communication. He did say in his email that he's hoping to have tenants in there, but I would assume that they would probably want the property repaired prior to going in there. So anyway, Brian, were you able to get an answer?
Building department does not have anything on record out to verify. I'd have to contact Duke Energy, which is going to be an extended phone call. So I won't be able to get an answer before the end of this board, so.
Okay.
I couldn't hear him.
So basically,
She couldn't hear me.
oh, I'm sorry.
Building department has nothing on record right now. I would have to contact Duke Energy to verify. However, that's going to be an extended phone call for anybody who's called Duke Energy before. So,
But the lights are still plugged in that go outside, and they're not on at night, so.
In my personal opinion, whether there's power there or not, I do think even if there's power surges or whatever, whether it's actually connected or not, it's not safe.
Yes.
Is my opinion. But anyway, so what I'm asking today for the code board members is to find the property in violation of City Code 8-52 for nuisance prohibitions for the overgrowth and for the basically the debris around the sidewalks. Find the property in violation of City Code 8-40 for the duty to maintain private property, in violation of City Code 36.03 for the fences, walls, and hedges, in violation of City Code 6-1 that adopts the International Property Maintenance Code, in violation of the Florida Building Code, 6-1. In violation of the Florida Building Code 105.1, requiring permits for the repairs that need to be made, in violation of International Property Code 604.3 for the electrical system hazards, and finally in violation of, this is an error on the agenda, City Code, not IPMC Code 133.02 for the applicability and maintenance, so for the dead trees that need to be removed. And that concludes my testimony.
I have a dumb question. How can they be in violation of permits required if they're not pulling them now? If they're not going to do anything, so why would they need to, how can they violate it if no work is?
I understand your question. So they were cited to be in violation of permits required because to do the repair, they are going to have to get permits. I did verify with the building department before I cited them for that, and they did tell me that for the repair that needed to be completed, a permit would be required. So in order to complete the repairs, they're going to need to get permits.
So essentially, there's no forward movement on this because no permit's been requested to do anything with it.
They have not applied for any permits at this time, and none of the violations are in compliance.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else have any questions? Hearing none, does anyone like to make a motion?
Move that based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented and law, that at all the time of the alleged violations, Sections 8-52, 8-40, City Code 36.03, City Code 6-1, FBC 105.1, IPMC 604.3, and City Code 133.02 of the City Codes of Ordinances for the City of Tarpon Springs was in force and effect. The respondent was in violation thereof.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Bobby, roll call?
Mr. Stammes?
Yes.
Ms. Porfirio?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Aye.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Following that, would anyone like to make a second motion?
I move that that the respondent shall have until September the 9th to bring the property into compliance with code sections 8-52, 8-40, 36.03, City Code 6-1, FBC 105.1, IPMC 604.3, and City Code 13302, or suffer a fine of $250 a day. Therefore, the respondent remain in violation thereof.
I'll say
Do I hear-
second.
Do I hear a second? Or
I said second. Nobody else did.
you said second? Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Stammes?
No.
Video?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Aye.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes.
The motion carries.
That should spark an interest.
You're tired of looking at that one. Item number 4 has been deferred. Is, item number 5, 21-8000315, L.R. Valhofer. Is anyone here for that property? Not quite sure how to read the address on that one, Beth.
Oh, it's a vacant lot west of 126 Athens Street.
Okay.
Okay. So this is Kate, my name is Beth, the Code Enforcement Inspector, FACE certified for the City of Tarpon Springs. This is case number 21-800000315, for parcel number 1227151264000380, which is a vacant lot west of 126 Athens, for Mr. L.R. Thalhofer, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Exhibit 1 contains all of the photographs. Exhibit 2 contains all the notices to include the notice of violation and notice of hearing. Exhibit 3 contains the administrative documents to include the case summary, property appraiser, and tax collector records. Exhibit 4 contains the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. All of the photographs and exhibits were given to the property owner, exact copies of what is being presented to the code board. All notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collector databases. All notice of violation and notice of hearings are sent return receipt requested in first-class mail. Madam Chair, please accept all exhibits into the record as evidence.
Thank you. Please do so, Bobby.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we have had contact with the owner, but not until yesterday. On May 27th of 2021, we conducted an initial inspection. The entire vacant lot is overgrown and is also overgrowing into the sidewalk. On May 28th, a notice of violation was mailed and the green card was returned signed. On June 22nd of 2021, a reinspection was conducted and the property was still overgrown. On June 23rd of 2021, a final notice of violation was mailed and the green card was returned signed. On July 12th of 2021, we conducted a reinspection. It was again still overgrown and growing into the sidewalk. On July 15th of 2021, the notice of hearing was mailed, and we do not have record of it being received. It was in transit to the next facility. On July 30th of 2021, the sign was posted and the affidavit of posting was signed. On August 10th, we were given an email for the property owner, and we did send the notice of hearing and the history of the case to the property owner. On August 11th, we conducted the final inspection. The property was still overgrown. On August 11th, the owner did call to confirm, stating that he was aware of the property being overgrown. Okay. So basically, I just have two pictures, one of the initial inspection here, and then where you can just see that there is overgrowth, which is considered over 12 inches, and then this was taken, oh no, I'm sorry, that was on the 27th. And I actually called the builder for that sign, thinking it might be for this property owner, and found out that it was not. It's for the parcel next to it. And I did inform him that I'm really not sure where the two parcels meet, so he is going to make sure that any part of his parcel is the overgrowth is cut. And then this is just showing how the this lot that we're discussing today is still overgrown, and you can see where it's, again, growing way into the sidewalk. Okay, so what I'm asking the members today is to find this property in violation of City Code 8-52 for nuisance prohibitions, and that concludes my testimony.
Does anyone have any questions? Would anybody like to make a motion? Thank you.
I move based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented in the law that at the time of the alleged violation, Section City Code 8-52 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Tarpon Springs was in force and effect, and the respondent was in violation thereof.
Second.
Mr. Stamas seconded.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Stamas?
Yes.
Mr. Perfidio?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Following that, would anyone like to make a second motion?
I move that the respondent shall have until, bear with me. Okay. 9 September to bring the property into compliance with Code Section 8-52 or suffer a fine of $25 per day for each day thereafter the respondent remains in violation of said code section.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Stamas?
Yes.
Mr. Perfidio?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Case number 6 on our agenda, 21-800000394, 1145 River Edge Drive, Brandon T. Smith Gillespie, or David Smith Gillespie. Is anyone here for that property? Hearing none, the city will present its case, and we're going to accept your evidence. Bobby will take that.
Okay, my name is Beth Hughes. I'm the FACE Certified Inspector for the City of Tarpon Springs. This is case number 21-800000394, 1145 River Edge Drive. Property owners are Brandon Smith Gillespie and David Smith Gillespie. Exhibit 1 contains all the photographs. Exhibit 2, all the notices to include the notice of violation and notice of hearings. Exhibit 3 contains the administrative documents to include the case summary, property appraiser, and tax collector records. Exhibit 4 is the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. All of the photographs and exhibits that were given to the violator are exact copies of what is being presented to the board. All notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collector databases. All notice of violation and notice of hearings are sent return receipt requested in first-class mail. And Madam Chair, please accept all the exhibits into the record as evidence, which I apologize, I think you already did.
Thank you.
So we did actually have contact with the owner recently by phone. On July 12th of 2021, we had an initial inspection. I met with Ringo at 1129 River Edge to walk to the Homeowners Association easement to view the violations. You cannot view them from the right-of-way. The pool is still in an unsanitary condition. The screen roof is ripped and mostly gone. And more importantly, the pool door screen and some of the screen panels are now ripped. Therefore, the unsanitary pool is now unsecured, and the property is also overgrown. So just so you know, I have not cited this case for the unsanitary pool because we already have a code case that is currently getting daily fines for that. So basically, this case was opened due to the unsecured pool, the overgrowth, and so yeah, the unsecured pool and the overgrowth and the just the property being in disrepair, the pool enclosure being in disrepair. So on July 12th of 2021, a notice of violation was mailed and the green card was returned not deliverable. On July 21st of 2021, a reinspection was conducted. Again, I went to the property owner at 1129 River Edge, who allowed me to walk through his property onto the HOA easement to view the back. The pool screens were still torn and the entire property was still overgrown. On July 21st of 2021, the notice of hearing was mailed and the green card was returned signed. On July 23rd of 2021, the abatement notice was mailed to the property owner to secure the pool, the unsanitary pool, and the property was also posted with the 10-day posting on that date as well. On July 30th of 2021, the sign for the hearing was posted and the affidavit of posting was signed. On August 5th of 2021, let me go back one day. On August 4th of 2021, the 10 days had concluded since the owner was notified that we were going to abate the pool enclosure if it was not corrected by the property owner. It was not completed. Therefore, the city abated the unsecured pool on August 4th. On August 5th of 2021, we received a phone call from the property owner, Brandon, who provided his mailing address and was notified that the abatement had already occurred and that the property was going to code board today. On August 11th, a final inspection was conducted. The property actually had been cut at this point. It was no longer overgrown, so that is in compliance. The pool enclosure, however, still had ripped screens. So I'll go ahead and show you the pictures.
Is there more?
Okay, so this is behind the property. I know it's kind of hard to tell in some of these pictures, but the screen is basically, so there's the overgrowth in the back, and most of the screens either have large rips, holes, or are missing entirely. This was part of the overgrowth in the front, but again, that is actually in compliance right now. Again, more pictures of the overgrowth. All right, so here's the back. And again, I know it's hard to tell from the pictures. If you look above the door, all those screens are missing. The screens that are on the bottom of the door was ripped and pretty much just flapping in the wind. The screens on the right of the door are completely missing, and screens around the other side of the pool were also ripped or missing. Just another picture of the overgrowth and the exterior. Just again, another angle. This one you can actually kind of tell from the picture that there's no screens in the door of the screen. the screen door. And you can see here, there's a hole, I don't know if you can tell from the picture, but the middle panel is completely missing screen, it's completely open. And there you can see where the screens are just hanging from the roof. And finally, so now the pool is secure. This was basically what we did to abate the property. We basically screwed it into the pool. We did leave it where the pool door can be opened because we were also contacted the county to do mosquito control as well, and we wanted them to be able to have access to continue to do that as needed. So the one door was left where it can be opened, and the lattice, vinyl lattice, was basically secured all the way around at 48 inches high, so to secure it, so it's not unsafe. Sorry, I'm trying to close this. Okay. So basically, I would like to find this property in violation of City Code 8-40, the duty to maintain private property. I would like to find it in violation of International Property Maintenance Code 303.2, the swimming pool enclosure. I would like to find it in violation of 6-1, which adopts the International Property Maintenance Code. And I would like to find it in violation of City Code 8-52 for the nuisance prohibitions. However, let me change how I'm saying this, I apologize. 8-40, City Code 8-40, I'd like to find them in violation as of today. The remaining ones, I would like to establish them for those violations because they are in compliance. So IPMC 303.2, City Code 6-1, and City Code 8-52, I would like to establish those violations, but again, they are in compliance. 8-40 is the only one that's not. And basically, the reason that they are in compliance of the other ones is because the city abated the property, and I believe the HOA cut the grass. And that concludes my testimony.
Do you have a suggestion for the fining portion of 8.40? 8-40? Is the property abandoned?
Well, the property, when I did finally have a phone call from the property owner, he claims that he intends to definitely get the property into compliance and to go ahead and try to get a tenant in there. Part of their difficulty, the property owner's difficulty, has been that they've had liens on the property. I guess making them not necessarily want to put the money into getting it into compliance. But supposedly most of those have been taken care of, except for the cities.
What is the abatement charge?
The abatement fees were turned in, and let me see, I should have a copy of the receipt.
And that's a separate issue, we don't need to...
Yes, when we do the abatement paperwork, it's signed by the city manager and the clerk, and all the invoices are sent over, and a different lien is placed on the property for that. So if you need me to look at what that amount was, I can try to find it, but that's all done outside of Code Board.
I just was wanting a hint, but that's okay.
And so based on the abatement requiring 48-inch lattice, there was no fence around the pool, correct?
Basically, the screening can be...
No, I know, but I mean...
But yes, there
that's
was
why it
nothing.
had to be put up there, because it was basically open because of the...
Yes, sir.
The stuff, okay, thank you.
And we did actually give them, we gave them a chance to come into compliance. They did not, and then we had to give them another 10 days after the abatement notice was mailed and signed and the property posted. And once that time frame passed was when we actually physically abated the property.
It was a huge safety issue, we understand that part. Thank you. Anybody else questions?
Oh, so you had asked me about the recommendation of the dollar amount. I can tell you here in just a second.
Been $1,000.
I'm basically looking up what they're being charged right now for their pool
Yes.
case. So let me find that for you.
We've seen them before.
Sorry, everything timed out. Okay, here we go. Okay, so he was being charged $100 a day. It's currently approximately $171,944. That's for the previous case.
None of which has been paid.
Basically, it would have to come into compliance. That's for the unsanitary pool. That's not in compliance, so they pretty much would have to come into compliance first.
Any other questions? We're going to divide this up then. We're going to
Yeah.
look at violation 840 for one motion, and then we'll take the other three separately. Would anyone like to make a motion, please?
I move that based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented by law that at the time of the violation, section 8-40 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Tarpon Springs was in force and effect, the respondent was in violation thereof.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Stammes?
Yes.
Mr. Refudio?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Aye.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Mrs. Wade?
Yes.
Your motion carries.
Then we'll go to a second motion.
I move that the respondent shall have until September the 9th to bring the property into compliance with Code Section 8-40 or suffer a fine of $25 a day for each day thereafter.
Second.
I didn't hear who seconded.
Me, I'm sorry.
Mr. Stan, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Stammes?
Yes.
Mr. Refudio?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes. Then we need a second motion for the other three issues.
And that's just to establish violation, correct?
Yes.
Yes, established violation.
I move based on the testimony, evidence, facts presented, and law that at the time of the alleged violations, Section City Code 8-40,
No,
No.
sorry, below that, IPMC 303.2, City Code 6.1, and City Code 8.52 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Tarpon Springs were in full force and effect at the time of the notice of the violation. The respondent was in violation of said code sections, however, they are now in compliance.
Second.
second, and then we'll have a roll call, please.
Mr. Stammes?
Yes.
Mr. Refudio?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Mrs. Archer? Did you
Yes.
say it? Okay. Ms. Wade?
Yes.
Thank you.
Now we're going to move to the repeat violator sections. The first item is number 7, 21-8, 0000316. 1589 Starlight Cove, Riverside Partners Limited. There's one item that's a new violation. There are 2 items that are repeat violations. Is anyone here for this case? If you would like to step forward and identify yourselves, please. I know I saw you get sworn in earlier.
Ali Sabdeen, Waypoint Management Services, Riverside Apartments.
Could you spell your name, please?
Yeah, first name is Ali, last name is Sabbidine.
Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Khadijah Caesar, Riverside Apartments Property Manager.
And Riverside is the apartment complex?
Yes.
Okay. Do we need any further?
No, that's fine.
Okay. So you know how the procedure goes, she'll do, and then, all right. Go ahead, please, for the city.
My name's Beth Hughes. I'm the FACE Certified Inspector for the City of Tarpon Springs. This is case number 21-800-00316. It's a repeat violation case. It has previously been heard for case number 20-800-00736 in violation of 822 and 852, and a repeat violation case for the previous case 20-800-00176 in violation of 822 and 852. The address is 1589 Starlight Cove. It's for the property owners are Riverside Partners Limited in care of Alliance Tax Advisors. Exhibit 1 contains all the photographs. Exhibit 2 contains all the notices to include the notice of violation and notice of hearing. Exhibit 3 includes the administrative documents to include the case summary, previous board orders, and property appraiser and tax collector records. Exhibit 4 contains the affidavit of posting and the copy of the sign. Exhibit 5 contains the affidavit of prosecution costs. All photographs and exhibits that were given to the violator, property owner, are exact copies of what is being presented to the board. All notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collector databases. All notice of violations and notice of hearings are sent return receipt requested and first-class mail. And Madam Chair, please accept all the exhibits into the record as evidence.
Do you have any objection to that?
No.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we will, Bobby.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we have had contact with the property manager. On May 27th of 2021, we had an initial inspection. There was a large amount of trash and debris in the pool area. Inoperable equipment was being stored in the back, and the local business tax receipt had expired per the building department. They did not renew for the 2021, and according to the DBPR website, they were delinquent there as well. On May 27th of 2021, the notice of violation and repeat violation notice of hearing were mailed. The green card was returned marked delivered and stamped by the registered agent. On May 27th of 2021, an email was sent to the leasing office with the notices that we put in the mail. On June 3rd, 2021, we received a phone call. The property manager called to advise they were ready for reinspection. On June 3rd of 2021, I conducted the reinspection. The repeat violations of trash and debris were in compliance. And they stated that it was ready on May 31st. They are a new property management company for this property owner, the Riverside Apartments. And so I did give them the benefit of the doubt that it was ready as of that date. On June 21st of 2021, a reinspection was conducted, and the local business tax receipt still showed as being expired. On June 22nd of 2021, an amended repeat notice of violation was mailed to the property owner because we amended the date of the hearing. On June 28th of 2021, we received a phone call. It was from Tina O'Toole in regard to some questions she had about the code case. She also called in regard to questions with the local business tax receipt. And on July 30th of 2021, the sign was posted and the affidavit of posting was signed. On August 11th of 2021, a final inspection was conducted. The management company had told us that all their local business tax receipts were now valid and up to date, and the building department did confirm that they are now all in compliance for the local business tax receipt. So let's see here. Let me go ahead and show you the pictures. Okay, so this was just for the repeat, the pictures are of the repeat violation. There's my mouse. So this just shows the trash and debris. They have had a history. They do have a lot of trouble with dumping, and I do understand that. They've also gone through many different management companies at this complex, and it just seems to be a constant headache that they have. Now these were this was the first time I had seen this before though. This was a bunch of probably inoperable equipment that was being stored externally as well in the back. And again, they do have an extra dumpster to try to maintain all the trash that's collected in this apartment complex. And so this is the reason that they were cited for the repeat violation. So the property owner has stayed the same, but the management company has changed multiple times. So basically, what I'm asking for the code board members is to find the property in violation of City Code 8-22, accumulation of trash, and City Code 8-52, nuisance prohibitions. And I believe I would like to find them in violation for the repeat violation from the date of the initial inspection of May 27th, and to be in compliance as of May 31st for a total of 5 days. And that concludes my testimony, and I am not looking to establish them for the local business tax receipt violation.
Scratch that off.
Yes, that's complied, and I don't feel a need to establish that one.
Y'all have questions for her? This will be just the question part, and then you get to make your,
No questions.
do any of the board members? Would you like to present your side of the case?
No, I just want to say that, you know, with the trash buildup, I think Betha had called and spoke with you, and I was,
If you could speak into that.
with the trash buildup, so I was hired on May 24th. That picture was on the 27th. So we have had a big change of, you know, staff, and we were short a good 2 months of maintenance staff. And we have, to fix that issue, we have removed the roll-off. We have the compactor being picked up 2 to 3 times a week. So we do have a lot of illegal dumping that's on that property. And it is a hard property to maintain as far as the dumping, and we're well trying to work to get it taken care of. And I just want to let you guys know that.
And what about the broken appliances?
The broken appliances are from apartments that were moved out and they didn't work. So they don't come and pick them up that exact date. We have to call, and then they give us a date that they can come and pick it out. We don't have anywhere to dump them. We can't put them in the garbage can. So.
Does anybody have questions for them?
Are other people coming in and using those dumpsters?
Yeah.
Yes, we do have a lot of illegal dumping, and because of all the skips that we had a good 13 skips of our unit, the people that moved out of the units. So we did have a lot of trash to put in those roll-offs and dumpsters. But the illegal dumping, you can tell because they just sit their stuff out on the ground. And we have worked with the Top on Springs Department. I think his name is Officer Boone, and he is working with us so we can try to get something together as far as cameras at the front and the back, and something towards the garbage cans, so we can be able to to find,
Maintain it better, watch it better.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you take over?
May 24th.
I wanted to say, we appreciated that you tried to promptly take care of this. That's the whole goal here. And in general, I think y'all do show effort at that property. I'm there often. Would you like to summarize?
Basically, I think it's just a matter of that they do have issues with trash, they continually do. And they do have a new management company from the last code case. And the last time they had fined the property owners $50 a day, if you wanted to know that. Otherwise, I don't have anything further.
Do you want to summarize?
Yeah, I can summarize. So, yeah, we're aware of this situation. I understand it's been an ongoing, and I'm sure it's been a nuisance for everybody that's present here. But I just want to share that Casey has been really very diligent in her approach and her education for the residents. There's even now a camera also on the back by the compacted area. And I just wanted to share, I don't know how relevant this is, but I just want to share some numbers from the financials with you. Since the month of April till today, we spent $19,645 on trash removal and bulk items. This is between regular pickups and bulk items that really weighed down the roll-offs. So we are really taking this very seriously. Plus, I mean, it's an eyesore, so it needs to be addressed. Yeah.
Appreciate that. Like to make a motion? We're going to divide it up. No, we've dropped off the new violation, so we only have the repeat violation portion.
Ready? You ready for the motion? And this is from the May 27th to the 31st, correct?
Yes, 5
Yes,
days
5
total.
days.
Okay. I move based on the testimony, evidence, facts presented in law, that the respondent was in violations of section 8-22 and 8-52 of the Tarpon Springs City Code from May 27th until May 31st, and a fine of $0 per day for 5 days, or a fine of $0. In addition, I move the city be awarded $171.50 for the costs incurred to prosecute the case.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Stammes?
Yes.
Mr. Perfidio?
No.
Mr. Weeks?
No.
Ms. Archer?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes. This is a rarity, so we're giving the new guys a chance.
That's what I was thinking.
Thank you.
Thanks, Casey, appreciate it.
Mr. Trask?
So to summarize, the property owner has been found in violation of those code sections again. Code Enforcement Board has decided not to fine the property owner for the violations for those 4 days. However, they have assessed costs of the case of $171.50. There will be an order that will be entered within the next 10 days and provided to the property owner listed at the property appraiser's records. If you have any questions about the order, please call Code Enforcement after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next case is case number 8. Again, a repeat violator, 21-800000368. The address is 1116 Gulf Oaks Drive, London Eaves. Is anyone here for that case? Like to go ahead.
Okay. My name is Beth Hughes, the FACE Certified Inspector for the City of Tarpon Springs. This is a repeat violation case number 21-800000368. It's a repeat violation from case number 21-800000294 and case number 21-800000189. Exhibit 1 includes all the photographs. Exhibit 2 includes all the notices, to include the notice of violation and notice of hearing. Exhibit 3 includes all the administrative documents, to include the case summary, previous board orders, and property appraiser and tax collector records. Exhibit 4 contains the affidavit of posting and copy of the sign. Exhibit 5 contains the affidavit of prosecution costs. All of the photographs and exhibits that were given to the violator are exact copies of what is being presented to the board. All notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collector databases. All notice of violation and notice of hearings are sent return receipt requested in first-class mail. And Madam Chair, please accept all exhibits into the record as evidence.
Thank you. Bobby will do so.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we have had contact with the owner. The initial inspection was conducted on June 29th of 2021. The trailer was parked in the front yard. Trash and recycle cans were being stored in the front of the garage on a Tuesday, and the bucket of the small excavator was in the yard. On June 29th, a repeat violation notice of hearing was mailed, and the notice of violation was mailed, and the green card was returned signed. On June 29th of 2021, we received a phone call, spoke to the property owner, who requested a history of all cases, which was provided, and the repeat violation notice of hearing and notice of violation were provided, and where and how to store the garbage cans out of public view. On June 30th of 2021, a reinspection was completed. All items were in compliance. The trailer was removed as of June 29th per the property owner and verified on June 30th. The cans were out of view and the bucket had been removed. On July 30th of 2021, the sign was posted and the affidavit of posting was signed. So real quick, unfortunately, we've seen this a couple of times. And just so you know, too, I don't know if you can see that very well with the sun glaring on it, but basically the trailer is parked over here in front. I think it's just too bright where you can't see it on the screen very well, but I don't know if you saw the picture that went down the line. We've actually had more complaints every time the trailer has been out there. We've received complaints. I have tried to be very reasonable. A couple of times I've closed the case, no violation, whereas for example, one time it was hooked up to a truck and someone was actively cutting the grass and edging the yard, so I did not find it in violation at that time. The only times that I do find it in violation is when it's actually parked in the front and it's obviously just parked there. So what I'm asking the code board members is to find the property in violation, repeat violation for City Code 42.00 for parking and storing of recreational vehicles. And the property was in violation from the date of the initial inspection on June 29th and was in compliance as of June 30th for a total of 1 day. And that concludes my testimony.
Anybody have questions for her? Would someone like to make a motion?
I move that based on testimony, evidence, and facts presented and law, that the respondent was in violation of sections 42.00 of the Tarpon Springs City Code from June the 29th until June the 30th, and a fine of $25 per day for 1 day. A fine total of $100. In addition, I move that the city be awarded $78.50 for the costs it incurred in prosecuting the case.
We can let that go through. I did have a question. I noticed the last fine was $50 a day, and yet they're
That's what I was
still
gonna ask.
violating. Do you wish to amend your motion, or you want to let it go?
I'll amend it to 75.
Okay, thank you. Anybody like to second it?
Second.
Second. Roll call, please. And I also wanted to clarify the dates, because I thought it was just one day.
It was one day. They were only in violation on the 29th. It was in compliance by the following day on the 30th.
Okay, so we're clarifying that they have been found as a repeat violator, and the suggested fine at this time is $75 for the one day they were in violation, plus the prosecution costs. And that has been moved and seconded, and we'll take a roll call, please.
Mr. Stamus?
Yes.
Mr. Perfidio?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes. Then we're going to move right to the same person, who's case number 9, 21-800000419, 1116 Gulf Oaks Drive, again, London Eaves, and it's the same violation.
Okay. My name is Beth Hughes, the FACE Certified Code Inspector for the City of Tarpon Springs. This is a repeat violation case, number 21-800000419, for the repeat violation cases of 21-800000294, 21-800000189, and 21-800000368. Exhibit 1 contains all the photographs. Exhibit 2 contains all the notices, to include the notice of violation and notice of hearings. Exhibit 3 contains all the administrative documents, to include the case summary, previous board orders, and property appraiser and tax collector records. Exhibit 4 contains the affidavit of posting and copy of sign, and Exhibit 5 contains the affidavit of prosecution costs. All of the photographs and exhibits were given to the property owner, exact copies of what is being presented to the board. All notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collector databases. All notice of violation and notice of hearings are sent return receipt requested in first-class mail. Madam Chair, please accept all exhibits into the record as evidence.
Thank you. Bobby, will you do so, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we did have contact with the owner. On July 20th of 2021, the initial inspection was conducted. The trailer was parked in the front yard, and trash cans were in public view on a Tuesday. On July 20th, of 2021, we attempted to contact the property owner, and Brian left them a voicemail advising them of the repeat violation and that the notice of hearing was going to be put in the mail. On July 21st of 2021, the repeat violation notice of hearing and notice of violation were mailed, and per the postal tracking, it was left at the property. On July 22nd, an email was sent reminding them that they were in violation, and we received no reply. On July 27th of 2021, we conducted a reinspection. The trash cans were out of public view, and the trailer was not parked in the front anymore. On July 30th of 2021, the sign was posted and the affidavit of posting was signed. On July 29th, we did receive a phone call. It was a voicemail from the property owner who advised that everything was in compliance, but I had already complied it when I had done the inspection on the 27th. Brian attempted to call them back multiple times with no answer. So again, we're looking to find the property in violation, repeat violation of City Code 42.00 from the date of the initial inspection on July 20th, and it was in compliance on July 27th for a total of 8 days. And that concludes my testimony. Oh, I apologize, not yet. The picture's right behind you. It's just a matter of the, again, the trailer, this time with debris on it, again, parked in the front. And just the one picture, and that's it.
Thank you.
Now that concludes my testimony.
Motion?
I move that based on the testimony, evidence, facts presented in the law, that the respondent was in violation of section 42.00 of the City Code of Tarpon Springs from 20 July until 27 July, and a fine of $150 per day for 8 days, or a total of $1,200. In addition, I move that the city be awarded $88.50 for the cost it incurred in prosecuting the case.
Second?
This is the same person we previously cited them for 50. Case number 8, we cited them for 75. They're still doing the same.
Correct.
And you want to go down on the fine?
No, no, no.
You said 50?
I said $150 per day
Oh,
for a total of
$150.
$1,200.
We heard differently, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry.
Thank you
No,
for
sorry about that.
clarifying.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
You
Sounded like
still
said
wish to
50.
second it?
Yes, ma'am.
You heard it correctly.
I heard it.
Just me then, sorry.
And I just want it on record that he hasn't paid the last one, right?
No.
I don't believe
They
so.
haven't paid anything.
They have not.
No, Brian said no.
The motion has been made and seconded. Bobby, you'll roll call, please?
Mr. Stammes?
Yes.
Mr. Presidio?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Sometimes I don't think. We have several affidavits of non-compliance.
Ms. Wade,
We're on,
sorry to interrupt.
we need to take a break?
Can we take a bathroom break?
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I meant to,
You're on
I
a
wrote a
roll.
note and I forgot to do it.
I'm
We're
sorry.
going to pause for 7 minutes for a restroom break.
Thank you.
We left off with item number 10, affidavits of non-compliance. There's no one here for any of these cases, so I'm not going to stop and ask on each one, but we want to make it clear that the opportunity was offered. Case number 10 for 20-800000396, 38954 US Highway 19, Roman Reyes, trustee, James Wilson, trustee, American First Patriots Land Trust.
So what's his name doing
Want to
it?
make a motion?
This is
Do
non-compliance?
you need to present something for this one? I don't think so. We just
I
approve
move,
it.
based on testimony and facts presented by law, that the respondent failed to timely comply with the board's prior order within the time prescribed, and to award the city $214 for the cost incurred in prosecuting the case.
Second?
Seconded. Bobby, roll call, please.
Isn't that the I one?
Oh, we can
I'll
do
say.
A or nay? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item 11, 20-800000684, 1639 Sea Breeze Drive, Desiree Valencia.
I move, based on testimony, evidence, and facts presented by law, that the respondent failed to timely comply by the board's prior order within the time prescribed, and to award the city $136 for the cost incurred in prosecuting the case.
Second?
Been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item 12, 21-8000053, 420 East Tarpon Avenue, Joshua Runkle and Brandy M. Demicchio Runkle.
I move, based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented by law, that the respondent failed to timely comply with the board's prior order within the time prescribed, and to award the city $206 for the cost incurred in prosecuting the case.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item 13, 17-800000748, 119 East Lime Street, Alternative Capital Qualified Opportunity Zone Fund, R.A. Bush Ross, Registered Agent Services.
I move, based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented and law, that the respondent failed to timely comply by the board's prior order within the time prescribed, and to award the city $166 for the cost incurred to prosecuting the case.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? City will send those notifications out. Affidavits of compliance. Does each number need to be given?
You can do them by agenda item if you want to do it that way, so we all understand, or you can do them by case number or street address, whichever way you want to acknowledge that it's being accepted. You
We're
can do it
doing-
all in one motion?
It's legit to say 14 through 20.
Yes, it is.
I
yeah.
would like to introduce items 14 through 20 to the board for a proposed motion, please.
I move to accept the affidavits of compliance.
Second? That's what he said.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now we're going to skip to item 21. We have 3 requests for fine reduction and 1 deadline extension request. The first item is number 21, case number 20-800000008, 626 Eunice Drive. Adam Mueller and Monica Lang have sent a request to the board.
And Mr. Mueller's present if you have any questions for him.
I'm sorry, Beth, do it again.
Might help if I take this.
Thank you.
I was just saying the current property owner, Mr. Mueller, is here in the audience if you have any questions for him.
We'd love to hear from you, Mr. Mueller. Would you like to step to the
I
microphone?
think
We
we'd
did
love
not
to.
swear you in, I don't think.
And we don't receive
Oh, we
testimony
don't
on
get to
fine
hear-
reduction
You
requests.
have questions.
Okay,
I'm wrong.
yeah.
All right.
My directions say we can ask him questions. Mr. Trask?
So let me just read the rule out loud so everybody's on the same page. This is Rule 5, Section 4. After a fine has been imposed by the board and within 60 days after the violation is brought into compliance, a violator may petition for reconsideration of a fine. The petition must be in writing, signed by the violator, and include a copy of the affidavit of compliance executed by the code inspector. The petition must show conclusive evidence showing extreme or undue hardship in the payment of the fine or preventing the violator to come into compliance within the time period established by the board's order. The board secretary shall schedule the petition to be considered, and the board shall make its determination based solely upon the written petition. The board may request information from the code inspector. The board secretary shall notify the violator by regular mail of the determination made by the board. No petition for the reduction of a fine will be considered prior to the board's acceptance of an affidavit of compliance. Under no circumstances may the amount of the fine be reduced below the costs of the action. Under no circumstances may the amount of the fine be reduced once a foreclosure action is instituted. Additionally, under no circumstances may the amount of the fine for a repeat violation be reduced.
City costs been covered?
So nothing has been, I'm not sure, let me make sure I understand what you're asking. Nothing's been paid, they're doing the fine reduction request. My recommendation would cover the city costs.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
I can make a motion. Can I make a
Can I
motion?
hear a motion from
Yeah.
the board, please?
I move that the fine of $6,466.50 in case number 20-8000008 be reduced to $500. The fine reduction will occur upon payment of the stated reduced amount if paid within 60 working days of this order. Failing to pay the reduced fine amount will revert back to the original amount of $6,466.50.
My second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Stammes?
Yes.
Mr. Perfidio?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes. You'd like to summarize for him, please?
So the fine's been reduced to $500. You'll receive an order in the mail telling you that it's been reduced to $500 if it's paid within 60 working days. Should you fail to pay it within 60 working days, it'll revert back to the original dollar amount. Okay? Okay.
Thanks for clearing the property.
We're working hard on it. It's coming along.
Next, item 22, also a fine reduction request. Item number 17-800000372 for 315 East Tarpon Avenue, Tarpon Springs Building Company LLC, Sofa Douglas. Is anyone here for that property? Were you, you saw how the procedure goes? We'll go ahead. I don't think we
What
need
is-
to read the rules again.
No. Okay. I'm ready.
Has the board had the opportunity to read the petition?
Yes. Ready to make a motion?
Someone would like to make a motion?
I move that the fine of $34,233.50 in case number 17-800000372 be reduced to $2,500. The fine reduction will occur upon the payment of the stated reduced amount if paid within 60 working days of this order. Failing to pay, the reduced fine will revert back to the original amount of $34,233.50.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Stammes?
Yes.
Mr. Perfidio?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Ms. Archer?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes. The motion has passed. Mr. Trass will summarize for you.
So, sir, the code enforcement fine has been reduced from $34,233.50 to $2,500 if it's paid within 60 working days. If you fail to pay it within that 60 working days, it'll revert back to the original dollar amount. There'll be an order entered within the next 10 days. It'll be mailed to you at the address listed by the property appraiser's records. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Item number 23, 20-800000116, 1629 Grandview Drive, Henry Smith. If everyone has had a chance to read the petition, we'll entertain a motion.
I move that the fine of $20,388 in case number 20-800000116 be reduced to $9,000. The fine reduction will occur upon payment of the stated reduced amount if paid within 60 working days of this order. Failing to pay the reduced amount will revert back to the original amount of $20,388.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Stammes?
Yes.
Mr. Perfidio?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Wade?
Yes. And the last item on today's agenda is 24, a deadline extension request, 21-800000107 for 743 Sunset Drive, John Durso.
Any information on this?
I do need more information.
Did
Would you
have any
like to help us out, my dear?
This is the first one that I've done. Mr. Trask, am I allowed to give any information other than?
Yes. This is just like a petition for rehearing or reconsideration. You can give any information you want. It's not a fine reduction request.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, literally the Sunday after the code board hearing, where Mr. Durso was found in violation, and I'm only giving you this medical information that he put in his email, so I feel comfortable saying it. He was basically, and this is verified, was in a motorcycle accident here in Tarpon Springs and has since been paralyzed and is still in the hospital in the trauma unit, and I believe is going to be there still at least another 2 months before even going to rehab. So basically, I did get him in contact with, he has been in contact with us, and I did get him in contact with the CareFest people that are helping in September, and they do believe that they should be able to get his shed into complete compliance. The remaining issues, he's requested, I think he requested 6 months simply because he doesn't know when he's getting out. He has family that lives out of state. As far as if there are any other remaining violations, they can't be viewed from the right-of-way. And where the complaint came from, he did install a fence after the violations were verified. So the complainant is not having to look at the violations if they are still present, because there is the fence there. So due to the circumstances where he's been in the hospital since the Sunday after it went to code board, which has been several months now, he is still paralyzed and cannot walk. And again, Shannon had come in earlier just to let us know that he's probably going to be in there a minimum of another 2 months, and that the violations cannot be viewed if the debris violation, if it's still present, can't be viewed from the complainant, and that hopefully the shed will be repaired by the CareFest in September. The remaining portion that had not been repaired, part of it had been repaired already, I believe, and I do believe if we could see that it at least had been painted from the right-of-way, you can see that. So my recommendation was to go ahead and grant his 6-month extension, and those are the reasons why I felt that way.
Questions, comments from the board? Otherwise, would someone like to make a motion?
It would be a simple motion. You either, it would be a motion to authorize an extension of the compliance date to whatever date that you're suggesting, or it would be a motion to deny the request.
So what's the compliance date that we're looking at now?
So he requested 6 months from the compliance deadline, which, let me find out what that was.
That was 30 June, right?
February?
And the city's response, it shows June 30th.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Trask, you're absolutely right.
Oh, 6 months from June 30th?
So 6 months from June 30th?
That's what he's
All right.
asked for.
So I motion in the case of 21-800000107 that we move the compliance date back 6 months, which is December 30th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
I only heard one person vote. So was that everyone that said aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Okay, thank you.
no problem.
Do we have any board or staff comments? I missed something?
Minutes.
Oh, minutes. We should probably approve the minutes. Somebody like to make a motion, please? Pretty please?
I make a motion that the minutes of what? I don't even, what's the date of the minutes?
June 10th.
June 10th, 2021 be approved.
Yes.
Mr. Weeks seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There's no public to make a comment. Board or staff comments?
Yeah, I have one comment. I'd like to just get a consensus if we would think about moving the meeting back to possibly 5 or 6 o'clock. I understand there's some concern about, well, we're going to need 2 new members, right? So that's going to be people volunteering, and 2 o'clock just for people who are working, it really doesn't jive up for their schedule. So, and on top of that, I know how much the board appreciates people showing up and presenting their case, how much consideration that comes with it. So I think we can give everybody an opportunity to come, and moving it back to 5, I think, or 6 would, outside of work hours, would help out everybody
You know,
tremendously.
Mr. Trask has another city for that evening.
I understand. I'm not saying that it has to be on Thursday. I'm not saying it. I'm just saying that if we can find a day that works with everybody's schedule that's outside of work hours.
It's really hard to change the city schedules.
Yeah.
Appreciate the input.
Yeah,
It's not possible?
I understand it's hard, but,
I mean, is it possible to check into it?
yeah, no, that's all I'm
Sounds-
asking. I'm not
yeah.
asking for like a decision to be made
understand.
today. Yeah, just might want to think about it.
Okay, good, good input. Anybody else?
Anybody else for what? Anything? Anybody else for what?
Anybody else have anything they wish to bring up?
Comments?
Okay.
Meeting's adjourned at 4:14.